Life is fueled by our addictions.
Okay, I tell you what, I'll start. I started working out first, I think. I had an older brother that had always lifted weights, Todd,
Uh-huh.
and he was about 5 years older than I was. And when I was about 14, he was working out diligently. He was like, say, 18, 19 at the time. And I started working out with him, and I did it for about 3 months, doing weights with him, just free weights, breaking up all the body parts. And I liked it a lot, but I just didn't have, my own way to the gym at that point. He had moved out. And so I picked up weights again the summer after junior year of high school. My brother took me down to Gold's, got me a 3 month membership, and I was totally hooked. I was probably working there at the front desk maybe like 3 or 4 months after I started working out. And I still to this day kind of do about 75, 80% of what I did back then. That was 1990 that I started working out. And
Right on.
27 years, I've tried to train each body part at least once a week, and I do chest one day, back another day, arms one day, shoulders one day, and then legs another day. And I usually go like 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, or sometimes I'll go 5 on, 1 off. It just depends. And then nowadays I do cardio like 5 days a week, but I didn't start doing that until about 8 or 9 years ago when I started competing in bodybuilding. Before I just used like whatever walking I did, that kind of thing. I used to play like tennis with Denise. So, anyways, I got started. My brother, he totally inspired me. He looked different. He had muscles. I always saw he got positive attention from it.
Uh,
I could tell more self confidence because of it. I could pick up on that, and
right.
uh, and I just found that the gym was always a place that embraced me. Like it was always a place that it's just always felt like like home to me. I guess I've always liked being around people that take care of themselves, that are willing to put in the energy that it takes, and exercise the discipline.
Right.
So
Now, that's
yeah.
one thing that stood out to me about you, Brent, and Denise as well. But I remember going into the gym incredibly nervous. I think I lost about 50 pounds from the time I moved to Brentwood. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, these people are going to judge me. I'm going to sweat all over the place. Nobody knows that I can't use these machines. And I actually found it was exactly opposite. I was embraced by everybody there. You were one of the very first people that I just felt like, oh my gosh, these people are so nice and this environment is really welcoming. So it's good to hear that you say that because I always thought that was like my thing, like, oh, okay, maybe the gym is, meant to embrace people, but you really have embodied that uh, just in the time that I've known you. Same with Denise. Just both of you guys are incredibly, connected and inspiring for people there.
You're way too kind. You're way too kind. You're
Thank
way
you.
too kind. Hey, yeah, I don't know. I've always looked at like, you should never look down on anybody unless you're, helping to pull them up.
Right.
It's like I feel like we're all on our own journey. And when I see folks that I can tell are maybe taking the gym on for the first time, I think of myself like in a position of like if I had to go figure out calculus or another language, I wouldn't want someone like looking at me like I was stupid. I would hope that person would look at me and maybe give me a tip or two. And so I always try to do that, measured. I try not to interrupt anyone's personal space, but maybe somebody like you that you could tell is like engaging and curious and wanting to learn more. Like it just happens, and you kind of pass on what you learn.
Right. Right. Well, I've always appreciated that. Now, Denise, how did you get started in health and fitness and going to the gym?
So I have to thank Brent for that. I've always been athletic. I've always played sports in high school, but I never really actually went to the gym and worked out. So I was always fairly active. And when I met Brent in 1996, he's the one who truly introduced me to the gym and what the whole atmosphere was like. That it's important to take care of your body. And there was a lot of resistance there at first. It wasn't like, okay, we have our first date and then the next day we went to the gym. I definitely, had some pushback and, oh, if you love me, you'll love me no matter what. But for Brent, it was more than that. He truly knew that, to lead a healthy lifestyle was important. And, knowing that if we were going to stay together and be together, it was important that we both had those same commonalities. And so basically, ever since then, I'm not as disciplined as Brent, but I do try to make it to the gym at least 4 to 5 days a week. And it just, I just feel so good about myself, so much better about myself, knowing that I am, taking care of my health with, not only the gym, but with nutrition as well. And we didn't get the nutrition part of it until Brent started competing. Literally we would buy like the Weight Watchers, frozen entrees,
Right.
thinking it was like the healthy version of food. I remember our most exciting meal was these, what was it, Weight Watchers pizza.
Oh,
Yep.
cardboard pizza.
And we wouldn't go out at the gym until, we both had full-time jobs, so we wouldn't go to the gym until after work. So you're talking about getting home at 9 o'clock at night and, putting one of those things down. So we definitely didn't have that part dialed in until, what, I would say 8 or 9 years ago.
2008.
About 2008.
And that's when Brent started competing?
Yes.
Yeah. And I
And
started working
what
with,
brought you to competition?
I had had friends that always had competed, and I had a friend that I worked with, Jason Cavalin. He was like, hey, there's a guy at my gym where I work out. He's a dentist. He just competed. He had won the Mr. Sacramento. And so he, would always tell me about this guy that was going to do a show. And having friends competed, it was cool to hear about that because it's a fun process to watch. So I ended up hooking up with that guy, Sean Sangalang, who had won the SAC in 2007. He gave me some tips, told me, hey, the first thing I would do if I were to do anything if I were you is I would get a nutritionist. And so he said, I work with this guy, Justin Harris, with like Troponin Nutrition.
Uh-huh.
And, he's like, he's great, he's awesome. But he's like, there's a dude that he works with, Shelby Starnes, who doesn't quite have as many clients now, so you'll get more of his time. And he's really, really a great guy. So I looked Shelby up, I emailed him, told him, hey man, under all this body fat, I think I got a good bodybuilding. And
Right.
so I worked with him for about a year before I did my first show. And I learned so much. I learned about, just the staples that needed to be in my diet to grow. And then, how I had to manipulate my carbs and fats when it came to dieting for a show. And then, Denise took that to another level about a year and a half ago by getting us to eat, like organically, no GMOs, just eating some very, very basic stuff and getting away from like all the,
Processed.
sweeteners, processed food. So that's new to us about a year and a half ago. So I never competed doing that, which I wish I did, because now that I've learned about, how those foods sabotage our metabolism and make
Right.
it hard to lose body fat because they're toxins and our body fat wants to store those. So anyways, I feel like now, anyway, we have definitely learned so much more about nutrition and how to take care of ourselves. Like, I always look at it kind of like a car. It's like you wouldn't treat your car bad. You wouldn't put bad fuel in your car.
Right.
Or the check engine light blinking at you. But yet we do as people. We say we're too busy, or we kind of sidetrack ourselves with other things to keep us busy. When really our health is the one thing. For the most part, it's in our control. It's hard to control the environmental toxins that are around us, but the ones that we take in, we have a lot of control over those.
Right.
So, anyways, that's my story.
Right. Well, in that, I wanted to know, while you were doing competition, I know your diet's a little bit different now, but what was it like for competition? I know you were saying you learned quite a lot and you worked at it for a year before you even started. So what did that year look like of diet and exercise? And then after that, how have you progressed to now and the differences in your diet?
Like before I worked with Shelby, say I had always worked out, had like, I would consider, muscular body. And I eat like, say, for a couple meals, I would eat like those Trioplex bars. And, I would eat, I would eat like chilies for lunch, like steak fajitas. I would eat, Denny's breakfast. Something. So I thought, oh, it was mostly protein. But then as I look at it, no, I was eating pancakes too. So when I started working with Shelby, it became almost the same thing every day. And it was, chicken was almost my main source of protein, along with egg whites and whey protein. And I kind of always had stomach problems, so the more I ate, because I had to almost increase my meals from what I did before, because I got on like a true regimen of every 2.5 to 3 hours. And I was not used to eating that many carbs. So I did that for a few months until we kind of figured out my metabolism, how much cardio I was doing. I was doing maybe like 25 minutes a day. And then about 3 months out of the show, we just took almost like all the carbs out of my diet. So I had more of like a ketosis diet where I just had some fats, way few carbs, and high protein. And after a show, to be honest, I would eat pretty strict. I would go have a cheat meal or so once a week, but I stayed to my diet about 80 to 90%. I would do like moderate carbs.
Right.
And I actually would eat 4 meals a day, and I would have 3 shakes. So I would basically would consider like 7 meals.
Wow.
That was tough because, I'm not a huge lover of eating. So just to eat that many times, through your work day, through your personal life, all that stuff.
And it was a lot of food prep.
Oh, yeah. Now, you mentioned that your stomach hurt a little bit from doing that. Was there ever a time when it mellowed out through competition?
I would say it did. Yeah, it would mellow out for sure. But I just always, I would be like gassy or just, for a while, it just seemed as if I just never had like, like almost like same time of day, regular, like movement and stuff.
Right. I recognize that because I've done the, 7 meals a day, one after another, but I felt the same exact way in doing that, and I got good results, but I've recently switched more to a keto type diet, like you were mentioning, and trying to play around with that. But every day is a search for what really works. In order to attain the look I'm going for, and eventually working towards the stage. I know that 7 meals a day. I can't maintain that because I can't eat that many times in a day. So, how have you progressed in that?
So nowadays what I do is, so I've switched from whey protein to a pea-based protein. Denise has basically lined us out on like all Arbonne products. They're like, all plant-friendly, pure beneficial type ingredients. So I start with a shake in the morning. I have like 3 scoops of protein, so there's about 30 grams of protein. And then it's just some frozen strawberries, like a cup of frozen strawberries, maybe a cup and a half sometimes, and then like some chia seed, and then it's got a scoop of the Arbonne fiber, and I put in this Arbonne fizz stick. It's kind of like an orange flavor, so it takes on the flavor of like a 50-50.
It's an energy drink, basically.
Right.
It's got some energy in it, and it's got like 50 milligrams of like natural caffeine. So that's my first meal, and say that's sometime like between 7:30, 8 o'clock. Mid-morning for a snack, about 2.5, 3 hours after that, I'll have like 3 hard-boiled eggs, but I'll only eat about 1 yolk total. And then a couple of these Lender's square rice cakes that have about 6 carbs in them each, and I'll put sunflower seed butter on those. We used to do peanut butter, and then Denise has done a ton of reading up on the difference between
Me too.
sunflower seed butter. Yeah, so you know.
I do a ton of research on this stuff, and peanut butter is like a major staple for me until I started to research, so I'm right there with you guys. Sounds like, Denise, you have learned quite a lot about diet in the recent years.
And I feel that, ever since we went through this program, and I think, for the most part, I was super skeptical before I even tried it. I had a good friend of mine who she had also eaten like we did in the past. We'd provided her some diet plans, but it was just hard to follow because, again, it was so much food prep and so many meals that you had to eat per day. So she told me about this program she went through, and she was like, Denise, it's so much easier. She goes, and not only that, but I feel so much better. than how I felt before. I have so much more energy. And I still pretty much downplayed it, didn't want to hear much about it because Brett and I thought, we totally had it figured out. But what I've learned is we used to eat a lot of artificial sweeteners. Our protein bars had artificial sweeteners. We put artificial sweeteners in our coffee.
Right.
All protein source, for our shakes was whey protein. The protein bars we ate were whey protein. So we just always had that kind of bloated, gassy feeling. And so when I found out all these products were vegan, dairy free, we thought, hey, let's give it a try. And if my friend who started the program, you trust someone that you know. And so by knowing her, I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. So I started it almost 2 years ago, and it was actually the week before Thanksgiving. So people thought I was crazy. But basically what the program entails is we're trying to eliminate acidic and addictive foods and also allergenic foods. We're trying to get our bodies to a more alkaline level and also to balance our blood sugars. But one of the main things that separates our program from a lot is that we're also focusing on the elimination of toxins. And what people don't realize, and I was the same way, is I was always so skeptical of these detox, diets that people are going through, until I actually went through it. And then I started researching and understood that we bring in so many toxins from the foods that we eat, we don't even realize it.
Right.
And
creates inflammation in your body and is a nightmare.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. And so when I went through this program, I was so excited about it because A, I know all the products are clean, and B, if I can provide somebody with a program that all they have to do is just plug into it, I coach them through it, I educate them on, it's more of a lifestyle change. I don't even like to call it a diet because a lot of times when people hear diet, they think all it is about weight loss. But my true passion are the health benefits of the program. And then the weight just comes off because of, you're eating healthy and you're using products that are good for you. So that's where my passion has come, going through when Brent was competing, I did a lot of his meal prep. And so, I understood, grams of fat and protein and carbs and how that, works with our body and how everybody's different. But when you're trying to provide diet plans to people, it can be difficult because everybody's different. So what I love about Arbonne's program is, people of all ages, of all health, backgrounds, anyone can try this program, and it's easy to follow. And I think that's the key for people is finding something that works for you that's easy to follow. And there's so many different ways out there, so many programs, for weight loss. But I think what people have to focus on truly is the health benefits and the lifestyle change, and not just going for something where I'm going to lose, 20 pounds in 6 weeks. It's like, no, go for how am I going to be able to sustain this?
Right, the longevity.
Exactly. So for us, that has been this program. We still follow it to this day. And again, my passion is just educating people on how they can live a healthier lifestyle, and that it's not difficult. It's not super hard. I mean, at first, I think that's the hardest part is just starting.
Right.
And then you start and, and continue it becomes more of a habit. And that's the thing I think people need to realize is you can't just do something for a couple weeks and think your brain is going to develop these new habits. You have to do it. I think, they say 21 days to develop a habit. I think it's a lot longer than that.
Right. I always set my sights out when I'm starting on, creating a habit. If it's something I want, I give it 100 days because I know that's going to set it into stone. But I fully believe that you're hitting the nail on the head that, having quick fixes, that's generally what people lean to, but those things aren't necessarily the best things for you. But if you could, turn it into a lifestyle of, eating clean and living clean, ultimately that's what's going to, create longevity in the goal. But that being said, how do you get people started with this program that you're talking about? And then would you recommend it for somebody who, like myself, is looking for optimal health? I'm looking to have, a physique that will be stage ready eventually. And, there's a next level. I always have a goal, but that's one of them. So what would you say to that person, within these realms?
I mean, I definitely think, and I always tell people, I hope that they can sense my passion when I'm talking about the program, because I think everybody needs to go through something like this, because a lot of times, we have, the foods that we eat are wreaking so much havoc on our bodies. But until we eliminate them from our diet, and not just for like a weekend or a week, I mean, it has to be for a long duration. So once we eliminate these foods from our diet and then we gradually bring them back in, you're going to know what foods truly affect you. I think the biggest thing is, wheat and gluten. That's nobody should be eating.
Sugar. Sugar for me is a huge.
Exactly.
That's like the end all be all. If I could preach it to anybody to cut it out for life, that's what I would
Exactly.
preach.
But what I tell people is, this truly is a program of education. And that's what I like to focus on. If somebody were to come to my door and say, I want to lose weight fast, I need to lose 20 pounds, by, in a month, it's like, well, I don't want this to be the program for you, because I know how you can lose weight fast, but it's not going to be sustainable. And so, usually what I tell people is the average weight loss is like 1 to 3 pounds a week. That's a safe way to lose weight. And you want to feel good while you're doing it. You don't want to go through a program that's a month long and you're miserable the whole time. You're starving and you're edgy and you're, you just don't feel well. Well, normally on this program, within the first week, people are starting to feel that, that energy boost, all these good things, all the positive benefits that are coming. But I think if anyone's, trying to lose weight, a lot of times when we've eaten a certain way for so long, we have so much toxic buildup in our bodies that sometimes people want, they want a quick fix and they want to feel good right away. But you have to remember, like, how many years did it take your body to get this way in the first place?
Right.
You weren't eating bad for just 1 week and now your body's just, totally toxic or inflamed. It's been a process. So a lot of times when people go through this program, it takes patience too, because, we call it a gentle cleanse. So a lot of times when people hear the word detox or cleanse, they think, I'm going to be drinking this liquid diet,
Right.
I'm going to be in the bathroom 24/7. And it's not about that. It's a very gentle elimination. So we're trying to support your liver and your kidneys while releasing these toxins from your body. And what a lot of people don't realize, like Brent mentioned earlier, when we're bringing in these processed foods with toxins, our body will create body fat like a bubble wrap to protect our organs and our cells. So until we get rid of these toxins from our body's going to hold on to that fat. So a lot of times with, these fast weight loss programs is people are losing the fat, but they're not getting rid of that toxic density.
Right.
So until you get rid of that toxic density, you're going to continually have this rebound effect where, okay, you're losing the fat, but the toxins are still lingering in there. So you're still going to be gaining, this fat. So Brent and I have found, with this program, a lot of people ask, well, what do I do after the 28 days? And it's one of those things where, well, I hope in these 28 days I've educated you enough so that you choose to continue to lead this healthy lifestyle. Of course, Brent and I, we still have, pizza every now and again. We still have our cocktails. It has to be a balance. But sometimes what happens is people let those, once in a while cocktails end up being like a nightly cocktail. And it's easy for that to happen.
Right.
So again, what I recommend to people is do it for longer than 28 days, because again, that's going to create more of a habit for you. Or just go through the program because you're going to gain something from it. You definitely will gain a health benefit. You will definitely lose weight on it if you're following it. And then at the end of the 28 days, you can decide, do you want to continue like a maintenance program, or do you want to try something different like the keto diet? There's so many different ways to lose weight. I don't want to say there's one way that's better than another, but we have found that this has been the best way for us just to have, our overall health is, we feel like we're healthier than we've been in years.
Right. And now you use this on a daily basis, correct? It doesn't just come in and go out as you need it. It's consistent for you.
Exactly. I tell people I practice what I preach, so.
Agree. That's how it should be. Brent, sounds like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I do 3 shakes a day.
Right on.
I do the breakfast, and then I do that mid-morning snack. I do a shake for lunch, and then I do a mid-afternoon snack, and then I actually do a shake on the way home, which is like about an hour or so before I hit the gym, and then come home, and then I'll usually do like a fish, a chicken, every once in a while, like a lean beef.
So
And
your
we,
day is basically built up of these shakes, and then you have your meal, your main meal, I would say, at night with the family.
yep, yep.
And Denise, do you do something similar to that as well?
I do pretty much the same thing. So I wake up. I have the same shake Brent has, which I need to make for you because it's so good.
Oh, I would love to try it.
And then I have a snack, 2.5, 3 hours later, and it's usually I have a hard boiled egg, and then I'll have one of those brown rice cakes with little sunflower seed butter. And then lunchtime, I'll have another shake. And then there are times where I will have lunch for like a meal for lunch, and then I'll have my shake for dinner, just depending on how busy my day is. But I'll have my lunch, I'll have another snack, and then I'll have, my clean meal at night. And what's been so great about this change we've made over the past 2 years is educating our kids. And, I'm not a perfect mom. I'll never claim to be a perfect mom. I don't feed my kids the most perfect foods all the time. But it's truly about progress and not always about perfection. And so what I feel my goal is as a mom is to educate my kids on why we're eating these foods and why we've taken these certain foods away from their diet. So another food we've eliminated, not completely from the children, is dairy. Brent and we try to stay away from it as much as possible because dairy, as people don't realize, is very acidic and very inflammatory.
Right.
And we don't actually absorb the vitamin D from milk the calcium from milk that we think we do.
Right.
So that's the one thing we're working on, with the kids is eventually getting rid of, milk in their diet. But our oldest son, who's 15, has started working out with Brent, which has been life-changing for him.
Right. I've seen that. He's doing excellent.
So what's been great with the boys is they also love the protein shakes. So I actually make one for Hunter for school, and I put it in one of those containers that keeps it, frozen for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So that's what he has for lunch at school. And what's been great is, we don't force it down his throat. We don't, eliminate everything from his diet so he can't be a kid. But he's made smarter choices where he said to me the other day, you know what, Mom, I don't even feel like Cheez-Its anymore. Like he's asked to buy Cheez-Its. So
now Hunter is 6 years old, is that right?
He's 15. Hunter's 15.
Sorry. Hunter's 15. Heath is 6.
Heath is 6.
Okay. And then there's one more.
And then there's Hudson, who's 13.
Hudson. Okay, so I'm mixing up the ages here. But you've got a 15-year-old drinking protein shakes at school instead of eating Cheez-Its, and I find that phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is cool. It is. It really is, actually. Because he's like one of those, like, he's not an eater at all. So before he would, unless you brought up eating, he would not necessarily eat. So,
right. So
really,
it's good. He's getting his nutrition in and actually enjoying it. Which was my next go-to. My question for you guys was, how the kids do, with these healthy additions in their life. And then how do you find balance as, healthy parents, teaching your kids, how to stay away from these things that are so toxic. I agree with you with the dairy. But, kids are going out to pizza parties and soccer events and all kinds of stuff. So how do you juggle, life, going out, doing, dinners out and, still maintaining a healthy lifestyle?
Again, it all comes back to, educating them. And like I said, we still let them have pizza. We let them do kid things. If they're going to a friend's house, it's kind of, I don't want to say a free-for-all, but I'm not going to, restrict them,
Right.
from what they're going to eat. But again, if they've been educated, they're going to know, well, maybe I shouldn't have that, and maybe this would be a better choice.
like a good example would be maybe like 5 years ago, we showed our older boys when they were like 10 and 8 a video of like the McDonald's food. Like a guy had made a quick YouTube video
Yes.
of, hey, after 6 months, here's what fries look like, here's what a cheeseburger, here's what whatever looks like. And then he had real hamburger from like a mom and pop joint. And the mom and pop joint broke down and the McDonald's one stayed exactly as it was because it had so many preservatives and whatever man-made stuff in it. And I swear from that day on, our boys never wanted to have McDonald's again.
Oh, I'd love that.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, I watched the same interview, and it did the same thing for me. I was never really into fast food, but it's a definite eye-opener as you start researching the type of foods that the average American is putting into their body, recognizing just like that, those things don't even break down, and yet we're eating them by the masses as a culture and wondering why we live in an obese society. So, to educate the kids is a great way of helping them for the future, especially to be able to maintain their own health.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So, that being said, do you guys ever get to do like cheat meals as adults? What does your go-to date night look like? How does that work?
Yeah, we will.
Oh,
We
for
will.
sure, for sure. Like when we go on vacation, we definitely, and it's funny because when we go on vacation, we still bring our shakes and, we still have our breakfast shake and our lunch shake. But then, so when we go out to dinner, we can have pretty much whatever we want and we don't feel, so guilty. But you have to remember when your body's used to not eating a lot of these, types of foods, when you do go eat something like that, you have to know, okay, my stomach's probably not going to feel so great, tonight or the next day. But we all have to do that. I mean, you have to have a balance and you have to have those splurges and, you have to keep it real. You know what I mean? You don't always want to be that couple that, oh, we don't want to invite, Denise and Brent because they only eat clean. I mean, we're real and we're not perfect by any means, but again, we just always try to do the best that we can, most of the time.
Right. So, what is a favorite cheat meal for you guys?
In and out, for sure.
Chimed
So,
in with that one.
although I won't do like the shake anymore because now that I know dairy bothers me that much,
Right.
and I am somebody that I get the inflammation from it, so I won't have that. And then, I mean, I wouldn't even really call it so much a cheat meal, but like we love sushi, and so maybe getting a couple rolls where instead of just getting like sashimi or something.
Right.
We love poke.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then we like some sweets, maybe like we'll do like some dark chocolate, like we just make sure it's like 70% or more cocoa or whatever. Yeah, those are, I mean, the main staples. And then a lot of times, like if we do, go somewhere and like just say it's a birthday party, like maybe we'll have a little bit of stuff, but I guess the key is, we make sure, that we're, like mindful of like, not overeating it or whatever.
Right. Well, I like that you're saying this, and I hear it so often. Everybody says everything in moderation, and myself, I'm an all or nothing kind of person, so I really struggle with moderation. Where if I cut something out, I cut it completely, and I am that girl who's like, okay, let's not invite Casey because, she's got her protein shake over there. She's blending ice in the corner and, being crazy because I have been, through this journey trying to do everything right, and I'll cut everything that I need to. And so to hear that you guys have such a good balance in moderation is so great, and I want people to hear that and know that you don't have to be, over the top, living on, cardboard pizza and hating life, not able to experience things. I really want them to know that you can have a lifestyle like you do, have your moderation, have balance, have the family, and still make it all happen. That being said, you guys go to the gym pretty often. How do you balance that? You've got very busy lives. Both of you guys work and stay busy. You have 3 boys, and you still make time for activity. How does that fit in?
Well, for me, I am blessed that what I'm doing, helping people through this program, I've been able to create a business out of it. And so that's been a blessing because I have more time. So I can go to the gym during the day. I can meet, some girlfriends in the morning and, have my workout. And I can kind of plug my work into my day wherever I need to. Where Brent, that's where the true discipline comes in. And I'll let him take over from here.
I hit it, I used to hit it like early in the morning before work. And nowadays I usually get home from work, maybe just, say hi to the family and everything. And then Hunter and I take off. And I usually honestly try to keep my workouts, other than leg day, I try to keep them under 1 hour.
Wow.
And so, I should always be home like, from the time I leave, the time I get back, it's always like an hour and a half. I'll admit when I go to the gym, like I think I'll always take out time to, help somebody or talk to somebody, but I don't talk much. Like when folks, if they have questions or something, I'll be like, hey, can you email me? Like, here's my email. Like, I'm huge on that because I really do. I go in with a lot of purpose.
Right.
And, so I'm like somebody that I do a lot of volume training, meaning I don't lift super, super heavy. I do a lot of reps, a lot of sets, but I just keep going. I'm usually 30 seconds to a minute between my, my sets. And anyways, I think by just, keeping that workout, to that hour, but then I'll do cardio. And how I get my cardio done is usually waking up early in the morning and just getting it done first thing. And that's honestly just a walk. Like I'll do like a 30 to 35-minute walk around the neighborhood.
And now, do you do that every single day, or is that a couple days on, couple days off?
Same, yep. Couple days on, couple days off. And I try to do that, I try ideally minimum of 4, but ideally 5 days.
4 to 5 days a week. And then I'm actually really curious to know, since you do get your whole workout in an hour. Again, I'm an all or nothing person, so sometimes I'll be in there and I'll look up and it's been 2 hours and I still haven't done everything I want to do. So how do you tailor that workout into an hour? I hear you saying, your reps, you have a quick rest in between. So like, give me just a quick breakdown of like what a back day looks like for you, since
Like, say I'll start with like 5 sets of pull-ups. And I'm doing like 8 to 10 reps. And then I go to like close grip pull downs. And I'm going to do like 5 sets there, like 10 to 12 reps. And then I'm going to do like a seated row, another, 5 to set one. And then I might go do like some one arm rows. Or I may do like a pull over exercise. So like on a back day, I'll usually do 4 to 5 exercises, 5 sets each.
And then you're just done. Like, that's it. You can check
Yep.
out and you're good to go.
Yep, just back.
Right on. Right on.
Yep.
And then you'll have your 4 to 5 days of cardio on top of that, but that comes earlier in the morning.
Yep, exactly.
Right on. And then you've got your son coming with you. Now, is he following that same program as you go? Because I've noticed even in the last couple pictures that I've gotten to see on Facebook, he has made some amazing improvements just in his little physique.
He's been doing it 6 months. And everything I do weight-wise, pretty much we do all the same stuff. We're working out together. And then he gets his cardio by just, walking to school, to and from. He's like a mile from school.
Oh,
So
nice.
we got this cardio.
Right on. And then, Denise, you just get to freely work out since you work with the program. What does a day in the life of Denise look like?
So basically, I get the kids off to school, and then 3 days a week, I meet with one of my girlfriends, and we train usually Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually I take one of those days off as my rest day, because generally on the weekends, we kind of use that as our little family day, and we work out on Saturdays and Sundays. But generally, I go in, I do weights for probably half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I do half an hour of cardio. And then same thing, I just do walk on the treadmill. And then there's times when if we have a vacation coming up or a special event, then I just increase the intensity, or I kind of, tweak my diet a little bit so I'm a little bit more strict than I usually am. So, and that's the one thing, having a program that you follow is you can tweak you can tweak certain things that you're doing within the same program. Because with a lot of people, we all have different metabolisms, so we're all going to need, different calories, different, proteins, fats, carbs. So it's good to just, follow something consistently for a little while. Like don't, try something new and then it doesn't work after the first week. So then you like hop onto something else.
Right.
You have to try something for a long period of time because your body can take a long time to, reset.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, so in closing here, I have a couple quick questions for you. Maybe I can get you guys to answer these individually. But for each of you, what does being truly healthy mean for you?
For me, it means, I think, feeling good first. So, like, feeling good, like, when I wake up in the morning, like, feeling like I've got the energy, like, that I've kind of got, like, a positive mental approach to my day versus, like, if I wake up and there's been periods of time in my life where, I don't feel like, that optimal health is there, just like sluggish. So everything kind of looks uphill. Um, and then I would say, to be honest, like, I don't know how to say it, but, just like being healthy, like, I guess, like feeling like I'm balanced. I don't know how to explain that, but just feeling as if, like I'm able to exercise and, a moderate amount of exercise, like I'm in shape for it, like
Right.
I went up the stairs and I'm not winded or anyways, and having the stamina to get through a day.
Right, like that. And Denise, what does truly healthy mean to you?
I think it's having a healthy body, but also a healthy mind. And, what I've learned through this program as well is, that gut health is so important. And people don't realize or understand. And I've done so much research, on the gut and how that can totally affect us mentally. And so, people, go to the doctor and they may have some depression or an anxiety. But what people don't realize is if you can get your gut health corrected, a lot of those issues will go away. And that's something, again, that I found with this program because I was going through, a little bit of times where I was feeling kind of blue and kind of down and, had no idea why. My marriage was great. My kids were great. Everything was great in the family. So I had no reason to have those, emotions that I was feeling. So I had actually gone to the doctor and she prescribed me medication and, without knowing what it was, got home, researched it, and it was an antidepressant, and I'm not saying there's
Oh,
anything,
wow. Right.
need to be on them sometimes, but I also feel that it could be, the cause of it could be your health
Right.
and what you're eating. And I've had, people go through this program that suffered from anxiety and depression, and that's, completely gone away just from their diet alone. And so that goes back to my, thought of that healthy body and healthy mind.
Right.
That's truly what my picture of health is.
Now, I agree with you 100%. It's like you're hitting the nail on everything that I've been researching between gut health, the way that it links to your hormones, the way that that makes your body, your mind feel. And, ultimately this podcast is about inspiring optimal health. That's not just in your body, but you're right. It's in your mind, it's in your relationships, it's in your finances. And that really does start, I think with a healthy routine.
It really does. And I think what's been, so great for Brent and I is we're both on the same page. And, I'm sorry to keep bringing up this program, but you can tell I'm a little passionate.
I love it. I love
But
it.
people go through this program and it's a husband and wife that do it together. Like that's huge.
Right.
And, a lot of times, I'll tease the couple saying, this could be marriage therapy because a lot of times there's people who you have one that's, totally healthy and into health and nutrition. And then you have the other that's not on the same page. And there could be some conflict there, whether or not they address it or even, know it. But when people are on the same page and into the health and wellness journey together, I think that can be huge in a relationship. And I think it's important for people to take that into account.
I agree. It sets such a good foundation for a relationship. So 100% agree on that. And that brings me to what you believe the routines for success are. I truly feel that the things that separate the healthy life from the unhealthy life are in the routines. So what do you think, like the rituals, the routines for optimal health are?
Ooh, I think like as weird it is, not weird, but just like one word always stands out in my mind, and that is preparation.
Oh, I
So
love it.
like preparing to succeed, whether that means like for the next day, like, hey, I'm going to have my shakes made, I'm going to have my meals ready, or it may mean, hey, you know what, it's Friday, I've got a 2-hour window, I should go get all the groceries, for the next 5 days, so I'll have all those main staples that I need right there in my kitchen. Because I find that, when I have to wing it, like if I'm got a business thing, I'm out of town, it's much harder.
Right.
I like take the time to like say, okay, I need to have, I guess, everything kind of laid out in front of me. So I would say, just creating very consistent, repeatable routines, developing good habits, as weird as it is, maybe doing everything that you can for the most part, like the same time every day,
Right.
Until it becomes, a habit. And sometimes that is, well, I'm going to wake up a half hour early to do that half hour of cardio.
Right.
and then I'm going to, make it sure I drink this much water by X, or I'm going to have walked around, the building 3 times by this time.
And I think it's really, making that choice to make a change and starting, and for most people, it's the starting. It's like, oh, well, I'll start Monday. I have, a girls' weekend this weekend, or, oh, wait, but then, next week I have this. And it's like, there's never going to be that perfect time to start.
Right.
But you just have to start and know that you don't always have to be perfect, but you want to progress in the right direction. And so I think that's really important, is just, deciding that you want to make that change and then just going for it.
Right. Totally agree. Brent, on your, preparation point, there's a quote that I really love, and that is fail to plan, plan to fail. And so, even with both of what you guys are saying and taking that first step and, getting the ball rolling, if you're able to, prepare yourself in advance, like when I first started the health journey, I used to get stuck at 5 a.m. when the alarm would go off because I was so motivated the night before. And oh my gosh, ready to go to the gym. I'm going to be a fat burning machine. And then the alarm goes off and you're like, oh my God, no. What is going on? So
Yeah.
I knew, for a safety net, I have got to lay my clothes out the night before. Everything's right there at the edge of the bed, the tennies, the sports bra, everything, the outfit is just there calling my name. And I had even bigger levels than that because I needed to get myself just up and moving. But you're right, those things, I believe they're the key to success as well. And that being said, you guys can combine these, but looking back over your health journey through the years as a relationship or as individuals, if you were to give a newbie 3 wisdoms on how they should get started on their journey, what would you say are your 3 wisdoms that you've learned?
One would be, make yourself and your health a priority.
Oh, I like it.
Always make it a priority. Everything else in your life can fit into it. And if you don't make your life a priority, somewhere down the road, you will have to make your life a priority. And it won't be in the same proactive way. It'll be in a reactive way. It'll be in a way that isn't as fun.
Right.
So, I would say make yourself and your health a priority. 2, seek out, the information that's out there. This is the world of information now, and there's so much great information out there. So, like you're doing, Casey, perfect example, talking from people from different walks of life, to see what they're doing. I think that's a great idea. And 3, when you find something that works for you, give it the time. Sometimes some programs, they continue to give back month after month, year after year. So, I think, when you find something, stick with it.
Right. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, something I tell a lot of, potential clients is, you have to invest in your health. We spend so much time on, oh, do these shoes look pretty? Or, does this shirt look pretty? And we spend money on things that we may not necessarily need. But then when it comes to our health, we want to skimp, like, oh, I can't afford that better product for me. But instead I'm going to go buy these, these shoes that I don't really need.
Right.
And so I think that people just need to shift their mindset and to know that, to make our health a priority, because if we don't, then, what's left.
Right. Right. Well, I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge you guys as a team, as truly such a healthy example and role model. I know I've seen you since day one, and I've been so inspired that, there is such a thing as a healthy relationship, a healthy family that works together, that, eats healthy together, that goes to the gym. And then you guys make it a point to give back and help others in need and be that encouragement. So I really want to just thank you for living the way that you do. I've seen it day in and day out, and again, I'm so inspired and motivated just to know you and have you guys in my life.
You too, my friend.
Casey, that means a lot. It really does. It means so much coming from you. We totally live in a space of gratitude as well. So we know you do, and it means a lot.
I really appreciate you guys.
Much credit. You've put in the total self-discipline. You really have. You've inspired us.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully one of these days I will make it to the stage. It's a relentless pursuit, literally.
We'll be there.
I believe it, one day at a time. But thank you guys so much for your time and for meeting me and allowing me to ask a million questions and just dig into your life. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Relentless Pursuit Health Podcast and want to hear more, you can find us on iTunes, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe so you can be part of the Relentless Pursuit Nation. And remember, when it comes to your goals, be relentless.